Okay. Oh, you're good. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody.
Big mouth.
Yeah. That's okay, well, good. I hope everybody had a good day yesterday. It's good to see everybody here today. We're going to continue in the study in Exodus. Today we're going to look at chapters 11 and 12. So we're continuing on. So we're looking at the last plague and then actually the Egyptians getting to leave. So there's some good stuff in here. And as we go through this, remember, if there's anything that you notice in your studies or anything that pops out as we go through today, try and remember. I saw one real big, interesting part to me anyway, and it's just kind of stuck in there, but we'll see if you notice that or not. But we'll get to that here, and it's in chapter 12. Okay. All righty. Well, I know we've got to do a lot of reading, but we'll break it up. We'll do chapter 11, 1 through the end of the chapter, and then into 12 up to verse 21. Okay. And I know everybody knows the story, but I know, again, as we go through here, if you see something that pops out that you didn't notice before, I know every time I go through, and like I said before, there's always something that, I never noticed that before. So, okay, so I'll be reading here in chapter 11. Now the Lord had said to Moses, I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here, and when he does, he will drive you out completely. Tell the people that men and women alike are to ask their neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people, and Moses himself was highly regarded in Egypt by Pharaoh's officials and by the people. So Moses said, this is what the Lord says, about midnight I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn son of the slave girl who is at her handmill, and the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than ever has been or ever will be again. But among the Israelites, not a dog will bark at any man or animal. Then you know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. All these officials of yours will come to me, bowing down before me, saying, go, you and all your people who follow you. After that, I will leave. Then Moses, hot with anger, left Pharaoh. The Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go out of his country. In chapter 12, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, this month is to be for you the first month of the year. Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb for his family, one for each household. If any household is too small for a whole lamb, they must share one with their nearest neighbor. Having taken into account the number of people there are, you are to determine the amount of lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat. The animals you choose must be year-old males without defect, and you may take them from the sheep or the goats. Take care of them until the 14th day of the month, and when all the people of the community of Israel must slaughter them at twilight. Then they are to take some of the blood and put it on the sides and tops of the door frames of the houses where they eat the lambs. That same night they are to eat the meat roasted over the fire, along with bitter herbs and bread made without yeast. Do not eat the meat raw or cooked in water, but roast it over the fire, head, legs, and inner parts. Do not leave any of it till morning. If some is left till morning, you must burn it. This is how you are to eat it, with your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. On the same night I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn, both men and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt. This is a day you are to commemorate. For the generations to come, you shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord, a lasting ordinance. For 7 days you are to eat bread made without yeast, and on the first day remove the yeast from your houses. For whoever eats anything with yeast in it from the first day through the seventh day must be cut off from Israel. On the first day hold a sacred assembly, and then on the seventh day do not work at all on these days, except to prepare food for everyone to eat. That is all you may do. Celebrate the feast of unleavened bread, because it was on this very day that I brought your divisions out of Egypt. Celebrate this day as a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. In the first month you are to eat bread made without yeast from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st day. For 7 days no yeast is to be found in your houses, and whoever eats anything with yeast in it must be cut off from the community of Israel. Whether he is an alien or native born, eat nothing made with yeast. Wherever you live, you must eat unleavened bread. Okay. I know there's a lot in there. It's like any passage. There's like tons of stuff we could go through. But so you get the point that you're not supposed to eat anything with yeast in it. So we'll get to that. But so unleavened bread made without fermented dough. Oh, wait. At the time of the last plague, what were the feelings of the Egyptians towards Moses? What did God do for all the people where he was living? Yeah, before that. Yeah, very good. Yep, they looked favorably, highly regarded towards the people of Israel, and also towards Moses. So when God sent the last plague, the firstborn of whom died. Who was firstborn that died? Yeah. The household. Pharaoh's firstborn. All the slaves, Egypt, all the Egyptians' firstborn, and the livestock. Now, what other plague happened to the livestock? They got wiped out in one of the other plagues. So you think there has been some kind of time passed for other livestock to grow up and to replenish the ones that were killed earlier from the other plagues.
Yes, for the sacrifice to be unblemished. So that, I was thinking the same thing, how much time that was passing between the plagues.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the plagues, they would definitely affect the livestock, and I don't think you would be able to find unblemished.
Yeah. So that's been, again, going back to the movie, it looks like everything took like, a day in between or something, the Ten Commandments or whatever. But it did take some time. So suffering, losing firstborn was the household of Pharaoh, of course, all the Israelites, and okay, so when, on what night of the first month did God pass over the land, striking the firstborn? So what night, that's in verse 6. On what day of the first month did God pass over the land of Egypt, striking the firstborn? 14. Okay, and what time of day? Twilight. Very good. Okay, then, and Sarah always mentioned this, but Okay, so 31. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Up, leave my people, you and all the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds as you have said, and go. And also bless me." The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the country, for otherwise, they said, "We will die." So the people took their dough before the yeast was added and carried it on their shoulders in kneading troughs wrapped in clothing. The Israelites did as Moses instructed and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. Okay. The Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people, and they gave them what they asked for, so they plundered the Egyptians. The Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. Many other people went up with them, as well as large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds. With the dough they had brought from Egypt, they baked cakes of unleavened bread. The dough was without yeast because they had been driven out of Egypt and did not have time to prepare food for themselves. Now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, to the very day, all the Lord's divisions left Egypt. Because the Lord kept vigil that night to bring them out of Egypt, on this night all the Israelites are to keep vigil to honor the Lord for the generations to come. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "These are the regulations for the Passover. No foreigner is to eat of it. Any slave you have brought may eat of it after you have circumcised him, but a temporary resident and a hired worker may not eat of it. It must be eaten inside one house. Take none of the meat outside the house. Do not break any of the bones. The whole community of Israel must celebrate it. An alien living with you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover must have all the males in his household circumcised. Then he may take part like the one born in the land. No uncircumcised male may eat of it. The same law applies to the native born, to the alien living among you." All the Israelites did just what the Lord had commanded Moses, and on that very day the Lord brought the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions. Okay. Again, I know there's lots and lots of stuff in there, but the blood put on the top and the sides of the door frames of the Israelites' homes came from who got all the people to follow Moses and Aaron's instructions. Okay, that's in verse 21. Okay, who? The elders, okay. So the elders of Israel said to him, "Go at once and select the animals for your families and the slaughter for the Passover lamb." Okay, on the night God passed over the land of Egypt, striking the firstborn dead, how long were the Israelites required to remain in their houses? Till morning. Okay, good. So in the future, when the ceremony was repeated, how were the questions, the children's, to be answered? So this is going on for generations, and they still celebrate today. So what were they supposed to tell the children when they ask, "Why are we doing this?" Do we have any children ask here, "Why do we do certain things in our worship?" Did your children ever ask why we do certain things? You,
Memory of God saving them from the Egyptians and reminding them.
yeah. Yep.
At the same time, they're reminding themselves.
Right. Yeah, good. Good. Okay. What firstborn did God not strike in Egypt? Israelites. Very good. Yeah. So everybody else was affected, but the Israelites were all spared. Because why? Because of blood. Okay, and they got a lot of other scriptures in here too. So who is our Passover lamb today? Jesus, yeah. And I know everybody knows that, but this is good, and this is all the pre-running of Jesus coming. Okay, so after the plague, the death of the firstborn, who sent the Israelites away from Egypt? Pharaoh, yeah. Okay, this was one part, excuse me, that I thought was interesting. In verse 32, chapter 12, has anybody ever noticed this before? But, okay, it's 31, it said, during the night Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds, as you have said, and go and also bless me. So, remember, there was not a house where not one person was dead in there. All the firstborn was dead. So there's great wailing, the worst it's ever been, or maybe has been or ever will be. What does he say at the end of verse 32? Yeah. Does anybody ever notice that before? Because he's like, everybody go. Get out of here. I want you to leave. We're tired. We're done suffering. Just go. And then I think, and that's what struck me is, because who was Pharaoh's and who did they think they were?
They thought they were God.
Yeah. So I think this is very interesting that it shows his human side. He couldn't prevent this. He lost his firstborn, and he's broken. He's really broken at this point. So I thought that was good. So, and just, by the way, as you're leaving, please bless me. So now things will really turn, and that won't last, and we'll get into that. Somebody will get into that next week. But I always thought that was interesting that, even though he was totally against the Israelites, who is this God? And then as they were leaving, oh, by the way, could you please bless me? Yeah.
You find that obviously Pharaoh was not a firstborn.
Oh, yeah.
Think how many people, not just the children are firstborn.
The firstborn of each house. Yeah. Okay. Well, good. That's what I thought. Anybody notice any other parts or a little section like that kind of stood out? Okay, so how did the Israelites plunder the Egyptians? What did they do? What's that?
Gold, silver.
Yeah, they took everything, but how did they approach the Egyptians? Yeah, they just asked them, and they were like, "Why? Why were they giving them everything they had? Their gold, silver, clothing, everything. What were the Egyptians afraid of?" Yeah. Okay, we saw the evidence, firstborn. So we're going to die too. So yeah, take everything. Yeah, take whatever you need and go. Just go. So yeah, I thought that was a good point. So how long had the Israelites been in Egypt? 430 years. To the very day. Yeah, I think that's interesting too. That's always going through like the Bible with all numbers, like certain numbers, 3, 7, 40, all these certain numbers always stand out and the significance. But it was neat that to the very day, of course God had this all planned out, but we're getting out of here. How many women and children, men, women, and children, and other persons and livestock left? Yeah. So has anybody ever heard of a number that possibly? Because just think, okay, well, the spouses. So there's 1.2 million if they're all just married. So then, what about children? They all have small families. So has anybody ever have a number, maybe possibility? Huh?
2 million, 2.5 million.
Yeah, it could be millions. Yeah, it could be several million. So you can see, just think, okay, so each family, as they're all plundering, So poor Egypt, and you got all these people that are taking, everything out of everybody's, they're not going to have much left. So, so it's interesting. And I don't know the history, but, after the Exodus, after they cross and get into the Promised Land, I wonder what it was like for Egypt after this time. I mean, did they rebuild? I don't know, because they were pretty much decimated. So, I don't know, it's just something to think about. I never thought about in the future after this. Okay. So going back to, I think I looked up 1 Corinthians 5, verse 7, and that was in reference. Yeah. Wrong mark. Okay, 5 verse 7. Just looking, and this is talking about in 1 Corinthians that everybody are having the troubles in the church. But verse 6, your boasting is not good. Don't you know that a little yeast works through the whole batch of dough? And then that's talking about the same thing as like how bad yeast can be and working through the church. So get rid of the old yeast that you may be a new batch without yeast, as really you are. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. Therefore, let us keep the festival not with the old yeast, the yeast of malice of wickedness, but with bread without yeast, the bread of sincerity and truth. Okay, so I think that's comparing to today. Okay. Alrighty. So anything else? Was hyssop? They mentioned hyssop to use to spread the blood over the doors. What was that actually? Does anybody know? No? Kind of? Okay. Well, yeah, according to dictionary, is kind of like a plant, much like mint. Okay. Yeah. To hold the blood. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know what that was either, too. So, so hyssop is like a plant, much like mint. Okay.
Don't you think it's interesting that they were not to take any of the wheat that was left over, they were burning up? What do you think?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, just kind of like completeness, just.
I figured it was so the Egyptians could not have anything either, that they were not able to partake of Passover.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I know. But he was specific about you couldn't eat it raw, you can't boil it and eat it that way either. You have to cook it over fire, which I would prefer anyway. So. But anything left, they had to burn completely. Yeah, all the innards and everything.
What was it with the, you cooked it with certain herbs? What was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
Something.
with herbs.
Just as instructions, even down to the herbs. They were
Yeah.
sour or tart or whatever it says, so that's really,
Yeah.
he knew exactly how he wanted us to eat it, or to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 600,000 families, and nobody messed that up. I mean, that's pretty rules. I feel like I've been like, how do I mess this up?
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure here. Yeah. What's that?
Follow the recipe.
Follow the recipe, yeah. To the T, yeah. To the letter.
I would mess it up.
Yeah. Well, maybe that was it. To burn all the remnants so that just whatever. It's your sacrifice. And the main thing was the blood, and they were saved by the blood. So, yeah. So they just got rid of everything else.
That's it,
Bitter herbs. Okay. So anything else out of these this section.
In verse 31,
Uh-huh.
it says that Pharaoh told him to go worship.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily releasing them to go away.
Yeah.
But in verse 35, the people said, leave the country.
Mhm.
There's a difference, seems to be a difference in what he's thinking and what the people are thinking.
Yeah, because remember in the past it was Moses kept asking to go for a few days and go into the wilderness to worship their God and offer sacrifices. So yeah, that's good. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. So,
He didn't say just go away.
yeah. Yeah, but I think the people got it. Yeah. Yeah, go. Take all this stuff and just go so we won't die also. Yeah, that's good. That's what I mean. Every time you go through there, there's just all these little things that kind of stand out and never noticed before. But, and I think that was, and we know that his heart gets hardened again. So, and that will be the last time. So everybody knows that. But it's, it's interesting that, his, like I said before, his human side's coming out. That, he couldn't stop it. Yeah.
I think at this point you can step back and just see the overall total destruction in Egypt. Because their food supply is affected, the people are affected, I mean, financial cost, the burden that it had to have on Egypt kind of
Mhm.
been tremendous. And I think part of the equation of him not wanting the people to go is who's going to help rebuild Egypt?
Mhm.
There's probably some self-preservation from his standpoint.
Yeah. Well, 600,000 men were helping, because they're all slaves. So I wonder how many, what about the women or what about children, that were helping also. So, could be 2.5, 3 million people, and then they're all gone. So, just think about in our society, in our workforce, if we lost, say Ohio, and we lost 3 million people just like that in our workforces, it would be pretty, disastrous even for us.
Seemed like before they were just working on glorification building projects. Now there's
Gonna be survived.
need to
Yeah.
rebuild things and help grow things and provide
Mhm.
for the people of Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the poor Egyptians, they're going to have to step up to the plate, and and they're not used to that. It's somebody else is going to do all the work for them, and now they're going to have to actually jump in and take over. But that's why I was wondering. I didn't do any research, but as far as what happened after the Exodus, what happened to Egypt. I'm sure they weren't the same power like before. So I had to look that up. Time.
Yeah, from a history standpoint, it's kind of the tail end of the glory,
Mm-hmm.
the glories of ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
They really were the ancient Rome of their day, in terms of strength, power,
Mm-hmm.
wealth. But you're the declining
Yeah.
century of Egypt.
Yep. Good.
And with the workforce gone, most of the Egyptians, how they know what to do? I mean, how
Mhm.
they plant and all that stuff, because for years, the Israelites have been the only ones that have done it.
Yeah. So they grab some gardening tools and say, "What is it? What do we do with this?" Yeah, they won't have any skills. There might be a few, but yeah, they're going to be struggling. And then their livestock is hindered, even after from the other plagues where they were killed. So yeah, they're going to do a lot of scrambling trying to get things together. Okay. We're about out of time. Anything else? Yeah.
Just a quick point, verse 12 talks about the motivation of God. It says that He will strike down all the firstborn, both men and animals, and I will bring judgment on the gods of Egypt, which is interesting, because there are no gods. He knew there was no real gods, but He's bringing judgment on the worship of these fake gods.
Mm-hmm.
He's a jealous God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and remember going back to the plagues, those plagues that, those were gods, and they're, represented gods, yeah, frogs and all the other. And so they used all those against the people. Okay, good. All righty. All right, well, thanks.